Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Happy Friday. Actually, yeah, happy Friday. Wanted to be sure. My name is Babita Matellis, and I'm the program manager here at Tag Ed. And on behalf of Tag Education Collaborative, for those of you, if this is your first time attending a webinar with Tag Ed, that's what the Ed part stands for. I am excited to welcome you to our National Apprentice Week webinar, which is called Real Pathways into Tech Careers, the Apprentice Insights. So again, thank you so much for joining us today as we explore how registered apprenticeships are creating real, accessible pathways into tech careers, especially as AI continues to reshape the modern workforce. Again, welcome, and I'm so happy to have you guys here. Now, before we begin, here are a few quick reminders to help things run smoothly. Please keep your microphone muted unless if you're speaking. Cameras are optional, but feel free to keep yours on and off. Me personally, I love to be able to see the people that are here, so I don't mind having you on camera and joining us as well. And of course, use the chat for questions, any comments that you have. And also, you may submit your questions throughout the session, and we'll definitely try to address them during the Q&A session. And of course, we are recording this session so we can share it with you guys afterward. One last thing, I always ask for a gift. The gift you guys are going to give me is at the end of the session. We'll be sending you a survey. So I ask you to please complete that survey. So let's get started. So here's a quick look today at our agenda. We're going to have some welcome and introductions. We'll have our panel discussion, as I mentioned. Then we'll also have our audience Q&A. And we'll kind of share with you in terms of skills and pathways, especially from a target perspective, what we have available for apprentices. And of course, we'll have a closing remarks. So today we are joined by some incredible group of apprentices, and we're looking forward to a thoughtful and engaging conversation. Now, just a little bit in terms about what is TIGED's apprenticeship program. At TIGED, we are proud to lead a workforce innovation through our registered tech apprenticeship program, which was launched in March 2024. Eve, if you don't mind, go ahead to the next slide for me. This program really shows a clear pathway into in-demand tech careers. They have, if you are wanting to be an apprentice, you have to complete 1,000 to 2,000 hours of hands-on training. And then you also get a Department of Labor certification upon your completion of your apprenticeship. There is no prior tech experience or college degree is required. And of course, no cost for any technical training. So you don't have to pay for those. We pay for those for you. And most importantly, about 92% of our apprentices come from underrepresented groups, demonstrating what equity and opportunity can really look like in action. So today, to help ground today's discussion, we'll start with a look at the state of the workforce. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Loretta Daniels. She is the Executive Director of TAG Education Collaborative. Dr. Daniels brings deep expertise in organizational leadership, talent development, and workforce strategy. And she'll be sharing key insights on how AI and shifting skills demands are changing even entry-level tech roles. Dr. Daniels, thank you so much for joining us today. The floor is yours, and happy National Apprenticeship Week.
Thank you so much, Babita, and welcome everyone. So glad to have you on board. And I want to first just thank our staff for pulling all this together. You can go on to that next slide. When we talk about the workforce, we want to tell you about it based on our perspective and our research. And we can go and advance to that next slide now. AI is changing our entry-level roles. We don't have a technology shortage problem. We've got a tech access and development problem. And that's what we have to address. AI is handling routine tasks right now. So that means that all of these entry-level tech positions are evolving. Not only just tech positions, every position is really a tech position now. So we have a greater need for applied skills. So let's take a look at this next. I know we hear there's a lot of fear around jobs being eliminated, and there are jobs that are being eliminated. Right now, Amazon has eliminated approximately 16,000 roles based on restructuring and utilizing it for AI efficiencies. Dell, approximately 11,000 jobs have been cut. UPS planning on cutting 30,000 jobs. And again, we can't blame these companies for wanting to be efficient and reduce operations. But there's a bright side to all this. There's jobs that are going to be created by AI. Approximately 120,000 jobs was created in 2024. And that was 2 years ago. And AI is moving at a rapid pace now. So imagine what jobs are going to be created. So globally, AI has created over 500,000 jobs. And we want to make sure we can fill those positions. So let's take a look at what we have here in Georgia. Let's just look at the reality of it. The problem is the tech talent pipeline. Even though Georgia ranks at like top 10 for tech job growth, and that's very impressive, there's still thousands of roles that are unfilled. And so when we take a look at, rural jobs, we take a look at the digital skills gap, we have to make sure that we're providing the tech talent needed and that we're being prepared ourselves. So here's what this means. There's just not enough degrees out there to fill these positions. It used to be that all of these positions were being filled by someone with an IT degree. That's not the case anymore. So let's take a look at this next slide. And so let's look at these data points here for the workforce. 70% of leaders cite that there's skills gap. That means these companies are saying, we don't have enough people to fill these positions. And so here's the major thing. 75% of them are prioritizing skills now over degrees. What does that mean? It means that apprenticeships are awesome right now because it's going to fill their gaps. A few years ago, and some of you online may know this, you couldn't get a job without a tech degree. You could not get into these entry level jobs without it. Now they're saying we're waiving these degree requirements for you to be able to do it. That means that all of these entry level jobs have shifted because of AI. And so here's a solution. In my opinion, apprenticeships are the solution. Like Babita said, we are a registered tech apprenticeship organization. So apprenticeships, you hire for potential. You learn and earn while you're going along on the job. You get real world experience, and the employers get to align the training specifically for what they need. So here's the advantage here. With our registered tech apprenticeship program, it's unlike others. When you become a registered tech apprenticeship candidate with us, when you are hired, you start earning from day one. You get a full-time apprenticeship wage plus full benefits during that entire time. And you work for a full year. 85 to 93% of all of the apprentices are retained in that job. So in the most cases, some people are going from $30,000, $40,000 a year to 60, 70, $80,000 a year and more because of apprenticeships. And so in this next slide, I want you to understand it's not just about the technology, it's the use cases, how companies are utilizing AI. So they're utilizing it for data analytics, for automation, to support the decisions that they have to make and to improve customer experience. And so here's a strategic takeaway that I want you all to remember. 50 to 55% of all jobs will be reshaped and not eliminated. So what that means is up to 25% of work tasks can be automated. That means that they're not going to eliminate the entire role. You just need to know how to use your skills in AI to be able to retain your position or become promoted. And so what this means automatically on this next slide is basically the bottom line is apprenticeships are the way we need to go. We need to make sure employers understand the value of it because it's the best strategy for AI economy. And so having that, I want you all to utilize this as you frame your conversations, when you're listening to the expert panelists, think about how you can utilize AI in your particular job right now. So again, looking forward to hearing the panelists, and thank you so much, Babita.
Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Daniels, for sharing some powerful insights. Now we're going to move into the heart of today's conversation, our panel discussion. Again, for those of you who just joining in, our panel discussion is real pathways into tech careers, apprentices, insights. So it is my honor to introduce to our panelists who have walked the walk, talked the talk, I guess you could say, of the apprentice journey. So first we have Nikki Daniels. Nikki began her apprenticeship with QGenda in August of 24 after a career sabbatical, leveraging nearly 10 years of experience in public health and a growing passion for technology. Her journey into tech started with an internship at Perscolas in Atlanta, 2022, where she earned her CompTIA A+ certification and built valuable connections. Nikki is the first Atlanta-based apprentice selected for TAGED, for meaning us, and also she dedicated to creating alternative, TAGED is created is to provide alternative pathways into tech careers and addressing digital skills shortages. Nikki, welcome. Our next panelist is Taya Dixon. She is a Chicago based cybersecurity apprentice with hands on experience navigating the field as a young professional. Taya brings a practical, ground level perspective on breaking into tech and growing within the industry. Her journey is a testament to how determination, self investment, and a clear vision are essential to successfully transitioning into a career in cybersecurity. Taya, welcome. Then we have Christopher Hart, or Chris. Chris is a former teacher and football coach who changed careers in 2022. Having zero prior experience in development, he joined Skillstorm and completed the training, then being placed with PwC. Chris has a wife, 4-year-old son, and a pet dog. Chris has been working with PwC going on 4 years now and has worked with multiple projects, teams, and languages in his time there. Our next panelist is Marley Simon. Marley graduated from the University of Illinois Chicago and is currently working as a scheduler apprentice at Peoples Gas WEC Energy Group. With a background in HR, event coordination, digital marketing, and hospitality, she has consistently focused on people centered work and effective communication. She is now transitioning into tech and building her skills in business analyst with a strong interest in connecting business needs to practical technical solutions. Then we also have Arthur Upfield. Arthur is a UCF computer science graduate who entered the Skillstorm apprenticeship program to gain hands-on experience in the tech field. As a software development engineer in test, or as that apprentice, he built experience working with agile environments across federal, corporate, and health sectors. He currently supports federal government contracts under Deloitte. And last but not least is Kelly Woods. Kelly is a Chicago based professional with experience across education, healthcare, and state government, where she managed recruitment and onboarding process and supported administrative functions. She earned a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing from Purdue University and a Master's in Communications from Loyola University of Chicago. This year, Kelly joined Exchange Chicago's workforce program to train for and transition into the tech industry, and she currently works at SDI Presence as a business analyst apprentice. As she continues this career pivot, Kelly looks forward to applying her diverse skill set in tech and hopes to inspire others who are considering a similar path. Welcome, panelists, and your pathways to get into tech is amazing. And again, thank you for being here. And I hope those who are watching and listening can see the various I guess you could say talent, but as well the field that you guys were in. So I'm going to throw a question at you guys, and really any one of you guys can answer it. I wanted to know what motivated you to pursue an apprenticeship instead of just doing a traditional pathway, going to school, doing computer science, or taking a tech course or anything like that. So this question is open to either one of you. What motivated you to join an apprenticeship program? Who wants to start?
Can answer this.
Sure.
So I'm coming from a sales background. I was an account manager prior to being a cybersecurity apprentice. And at the time, I knew that I no longer wanted to be an account manager. And I did not have a degree. I do not have a degree at this current moment still. But I knew that transitioning into tech, without a degree would have been harder, a lot harder. So I tried looking into apprenticeships because at the time I was full time. So I did still want to get paid, but still be able to learn the foundational skills that I needed so that I could get my foot in the door with tech.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else want to answer?
Yeah, I guess I can speak to that for a moment. So, I I feel like my background is pretty well centered in technology. I do have a computer science degree, and so the main reason why I was going for an apprenticeship was because, like, despite the fact that I have a computer science degree, despite the fact that I went through that whole process, when it came to actually applying to jobs entry level, it's quite difficult right now. I mean, I feel like when I was going through my time at UCF in my computer science degree, the pathway that was beaten out was to go through, get an internship, build some connections while you were in college, and then maybe use those to springboard into the technical field using any of those sorts of connections. Um, Nowadays, I know that there's a lot of entry level positions which are either being kind of held on to by people who are in those roles. Companies maybe aren't so willing to hire entry level work. I know that there is an aspect to having AI for automating some entry level work in that way. Um, Long story short, when I was applying to jobs, eventually I came across Skillstorm, and what it's done for me essentially is to take the experience that I had, and then I was able to get the training which the industry actually wants me to have to like be able to go into the workforce and say that I can actually do the work that they want me to perform, if that makes any sort of sense. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else want to answer before I move on to the next question?
I'll just real quick, just because I know my path's I think a little different too. From we've got paths from all different walks of life. I was in my career and I was a teacher, and during COVID was kind of when I made my switch. Obviously, a family coming along. I said I've got a 4-year-old son. A family coming up on the way was part of that decision. But I had a master's in education, and when I looked at the money that I was making, I was very disappointed. So I had looked out to Skillstorm, and I will say, with Skillstorm, the great thing was they made it a class, and they made it. I guess a boot camp is very similar, to what I would say it was, but they definitely prepared me and they held me accountable. They held the whole cohort accountable, but they did a great job of making sure that we not only learned the skills, but we also had to show that we could do it. We also had to explain what the skills were. So I think it did a great job in preparing all of us that were in that um, for the job that we were going to be placed in, because we couldn't just I mean, we weren't using ChatGPT as much back then, but you couldn't just ask ChatGPT and then say, here, this is what I've built. So I think it was a great developmental process to get us ready for the jobs they were placing us in.
That's pretty good. And before I move on to the next question, for those of you in the audience, if you have questions for the panelists as you listen to them, please do, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat, and we'll definitely address them as we go along through the panel discussion. So the next question for you guys, and I think I'm gonna call out on somebody this time. Nikki, this question is for you, and then if anyone else wants to add after that, can you describe your experience entering the program and what was your expectation versus the reality of it?
Absolutely. So stepping into my IT support apprenticeship initially, I was expecting this super structured learning environment. Um, but what I encountered was really much broader. I ended up on day one and forward, just diving right into all of the operational tasks for my team. It was supporting users, it was managing systems, it was contributing to our departmental projects all on day one. So it wasn't it wasn't this open book, let's read, let's take some tests. It was dive in and learn the job. And that was really eye-opening and very special for me. Understanding my learning style. I was able to learn to administer to multiple platforms all at once. And I'm talking 40 plus systems, very fast paced. And it was really an immersive ride for me. So I definitely think it contributed to my quick learning and my growth in the role. But you do have to be ready to dive in. It's not a slow environment, so you'll have to be ready to keep pace, to be able to pivot and be flexible be ready for changes from day to day. IT definitely does not sit still. So I definitely think I wasn't observing or learning theory, but I was truly actively contributing to my team from day one. So that was the difference.
It's pretty good. Anyone else wants to add to that? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marley.
Okay. So going in similar to Nikki, I thought it would be a more like a structured training, but in reality, it's more like hands-on and self-driven. So and from my experience, it was like you learning while actually doing the work, which can be challenging at first, but that kind of helped me grow faster. Having a background in HR and not in IT, that can be frustrating. So being in this position where they give you space to learn, also by doing it, is a good opportunity. And I also didn't expect how much professional development will be included, like communication, networking, and even opportunities where you can develop yourself as well.
I like that. Now, here's another question because you guys talk a little bit about it in terms of your expectation and reality. So, what doubt or misconception did you have before starting? I know you said, you thought it was going to be a little bit structured, but what changed it for you once you were inside the program or once you started? You had the doubts, you had you had some misconceptions. So, what was it that changed your mind and said, oh, wow, this is not really what I thought. This is really exactly what this is?
Oh, so that's a deep question. Well, for me, I already knew the value of apprenticeships coming out of college because my first position right out of college was through an apprenticeship. So I knew that I could work through this type of position. What changed my misconceptions about the structured environment was diving in. I definitely had to change my mindset about pivoting and changing from day to day, being able to manage multiple systems at one time and multiple projects. Um, I think having a team around me that was super supportive for at at the location that I was placed, at the company I was placed with, and also with Tag Ed, definitely eased my mind having regular check-ins and being able to bounce ideas and internal concerns about the position, anything that was happening. Babita, I have to applaud her, was always available 24 hours a day, probably. So being able to have that structured environment and support was instrumental. So I think it definitely made the experience worthwhile.
Okay. Thank you because we want you, and I just want to make that to kind of follow up on the statement Nikki made. And I remember meeting Nikki, and she was very like, I'm not so sure. And I'm like, you made it this far. The fact that you made it this far mean you can make it further. So I am very proud to see how far she's gone within the apprenticeship program. So just to kind of say thank you, Nikki, for really sticking with it. And I know it was a struggle, but the fact that you stuck with it and like you said, you knew that's where you wanted to be, but and then the support. And one of the things that we do here with our apprenticeship program, even after you join, we don't just let say, okay, you've joined the apprentice, now it's your supervisor or your mentors. We don't do that. We do follow up. We do check in on you because we want to continue to be support. We are I guess you could say your cheerleaders. Once you get in, we help you got in. We want to continue because you continuing is helping others to be able to follow that path. So thank you again, Nikki. The question for, and I guess I can reach out either to Kelly, is when can you share a moment when something finally clicked in for you and the judge said, you know what, that's it, that's exactly what this is for me. This is where I needed to be, like that aha moment.
I would say after we started building relationships with each other within our cohort as well as with our instructors, how I received the support that I never thought I would receive in the space. I came into training not knowing what to expect because I was doing a complete career pivot. And so being able to see the support that and feel the support that I received from the people in my cohort as well as the instructors, I was like, I belong here. Like I chose this and it chose me back, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great decision.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to add to that what was that aha moment and for you? It's like, you know what? Yes, this like you felt this in your soul.
I'll just throw out we had weekly or biweekly like interviews that we had to do based on the concepts that we were doing with the Skillstorm apprenticeship that I was a part of. Um, my first one did not go very well, and I was a little worried, but the second one absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I think it was, and this is funny to hear myself say it now, but it had to do with overloading arguments for method calls, and I just it finally clicked on why we do that in JavaScript and what we can do with it. And when that first moment happened, the imposter syndrome started going away a little bit. I started feeling like I actually could learn this and I could get this, and that also helped motivate me to dive in a little bit more because that was another thing I learned is you have to love learning. If this is where you're going to go, just because it's always changing, and that definitely was a aha moment for me.
Okay, thank you. And from our State for Work of the Workforce, you heard Dr. Loretta mention that it's a earn to pay, you earn while you learn, right? So I'm curious to know is how did being paid while learning impact your motivation or confidence? Did it say, you know what, I'm getting paid, so it don't matter? Or is it like I'm getting paid even though I'm not sure, but I'm gonna continue, how did it help impact your confidence and motivation? Marley?
Oh, I
Okay, go ahead, Chris. Oh, you're mute.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, it definitely it made it. I don't want to say easier to fail because obviously, that's where we learn. But it made it a lot easier for me to be putting in the work and, like I said early on, not seeing the best results that I was hoping to see, but pushing through it. My teacher for my cohort was amazing. The cohort group was amazing. I think Kelly was talking about the support that we get and the relationships you build with the people that you're going through the experience with are really what it is. But being paid makes it a lot easier to keep going when you hit those tough walls.
Okay, thank you. Next.
I've never been paid to learn, so as it being a new experience and me being able to transition into a new field, it kind of like a safety net, being able to explore a different path and still be paid for it and come out with a job on the other end of it. I would say it was kind of like reassurance for me.
That's very okay. Thank you. Arthur, I think you had started to say something.
I'm so sorry if I was about to cut somebody off. When I was going through college, I was working almost full time the entire time that I was going through it. And so being able to graduate and then go into another training program where they would actually pay me to be there to like basically just continue my education, that was incredibly valuable because I would not have been able to do this otherwise. Um, uh, Pretty much that, yeah.
Okay. And here's another question for you guys is what skills have you gained that have been most valuable for you in your career journey?
I would say active listening as well as learning to and with how I communicate, making sure I'm concise, making sure I'm clear. That's something that I think I will forever be working on, but it just really helps in terms of solving problems, building relationships. Um, it, sometimes you find that you have to do more listening than speaking. So that has been very helpful throughout my career thus far, I would say.
Okay. And another question for you, and I know there's some more, and I know the audience have some burning questions for you guys, and I want to make sure that we give them time. But in terms of a lot of you transition from one career to another, and I'm curious to know is how was your confidence entering that tech force? The fact that you had no experience, but you knew you were making it, you kind of had the experience because you did the training, but however, you are now going to be in the field with others that have been here 10 years, 20 years in the field. So I'm curious to know how has what was your confidence like and how did it change your confidence entering into the tech force?
I'll speak to that.
Yeah.
I can definitely say my confidence level on day one was probably in the 25% range. It was very low. Um, I I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I was meant for this role. I wasn't sure if I could keep up, keep pace. I wasn't fresh out of college. I was working on my second career here, and I just didn't have the confidence level that I had with my previous career. So now I can say, after going through all of the training and upskilling since then, and all of the hands-on work that I did during the apprenticeship, I can say that I feel like, I think it was Chris that mentioned it, I feel like the imposter syndrome is waning. I will not say that it's all the way gone yet. I'm only 2 years into this field, but again, it's a constant learning environment. You are constantly learning. You have to constantly upskill. You need to constantly uh, challenge yourself, because the field is changing daily. It's rapidly changing. So I don't think the imposter syndrome will ever be completely gone, but I'm hopeful, and I think I'm at a higher percentage of confidence these days.
I want to add on to that.
Hmm.
Because the imposter syndrome is real. But I kind of like in the process of overcoming that by asking questions, relying on my mentors and peers, and also reminding myself that I'm here to learn and not knowing everything, which was kind of like a reminder that we had since day one. So I feel like that kind of boosts my confidence, receiving those kind of motivation from other people as well.
That's pretty good. And now here's the other question, because each of you are in a separate field, different field within the tech. So kind of talk to me, each of you, provide the audience what a day-to-day looks like for that field, if they are thinking of entering that particular field for apprentice. So we'll start with Taya.
So my day to day, it kind of changes. I'm on a few different projects, so it really depends on, I guess, priority, whichever task for which project is most important for that day. I'll probably have a couple of meetings, status meetings, to, I guess, refresh and talk about what are going on with my current projects. And then, depending on which project I'm doing, I'll probably doing some work towards that, whether it's maybe some configurations, for switches or firewalls or something like that. Um, and then probably the other 40% of my day is probably training. I still do a lot of training, whether it's training for a specific project that I'm working on, or whether it's just my company's standard training that required training that they give me. I still do a lot of training daily and weekly.
Okay, and just to remind folks, for those who may have just come in a little bit later, what's your title or in
Uh,
what
I'm
field?
I'm a cybersecurity apprentice.
Thank you. Who else wants to answer that question?
I guess I can talk about my day to day for a little bit.
Mhm.
To start off with, I'm a test automation engineer. I went through and I did an SDET apprenticeship, so that is both like combining software development and then testing fundamentals and stuff like that. My day to day currently, and I just moved projects pretty recently. I will get up around 8ish or something, and then eventually I'll prepare and I'll be ready for the start of the workday around kind of 9. Uh, at 10 o'clock, we have stand up. I talk with my team. We give our status reports or whatever. But ultimately, the work is split between for software testing is split between either doing functional testing which is going to be making sure that the software is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, or regression testing, which is what I'm primarily focused on. And so that's writing software to test software. That is a lot of time spent writing code, but I honestly find that to be a lot of fun. So I like to focus on those parts of the job. Yeah.
Okay, Kelly.
Right now, well, I'm a business analyst apprentice, and right now, most of the day is spent training. I'm still fairly new to the company that I'm working with, and following and sort of chiming in with the cost analyst that I'm working with. So we're tracking the cost of a particular project that we're working on within the company, and a lot of Excel, uh, which has been great. And our instructors prepared us for that, so I'm very grateful. And so yeah, it's a lot of spreadsheets, meeting and getting to know the people who are on the project, and it's been great. It's been a great experience thus far.
Thank you. Marley.
Well, my day to day. Well, right now I'm a scheduler apprentice at People's Gas, same with Kelly, but business analyst at the SDI. In the morning, we'll be having stand up meetings, and I'll be meeting with my trainer to see what we have going on and work on some schedule requirements and also narratives. And also, we also have a lot of trainings as well, and kind of like in the cost side as well, so we could see both sides. Yeah.
Okay, and Chris.
Yep. I am, I'll say a full stack developer because Java is what I started with. But currently the project that I'm working on is in Python, which was a kind of cool. I've been with PwC for 4 years. So this is third or fourth project I've been on, but it was really cool to be able to transition to a new language that I wasn't trained in and, start working that. So my day to day is a lot of still upskilling in Python. We have DSM at 10:30, and then depending on what I'm working on, the feature that I'm working on, I may have other meetings with some other teams that control other parts of the workflows that I'm working on. But um, for me, it's usually a couple meetings during the day, and really just upskilling and working on whatever features are needed, whether it's one of our legacy projects or the new project that I'm on right now.
Okay. Nikki, I saved you for last for a reason because you're not an apprentice, but you were a former apprentice. Saying I know your journey where you got hired right within before you even completed your apprentice. So if you want to talk a little bit about that and then kind of tell them what you do now and then also what was that journey, what your day-to-day looks like.
Absolutely. So it definitely was a journey. I was fortunate, was hired by the company that I completed my apprenticeship through uh, several months before my apprenticeship was over. So that was a wild ride, and I was very grateful, but also it was very confirming for me that I was where I hopefully am supposed to be. So um, I am. I started off as an IT support apprentice, but I transitioned into a systems administrator one position. So I was able to kind of still keep to the same day-to-day tasks that I was doing as an apprentice, because again, I started on day one doing everything that everyone on my team was already doing. So I was technically a systems administrator from day one. Uh, so since then, I have transitioned to a mid-level systems administrator role. So still very grateful for the growth that I'm seeing in this role. And my day-to-day is busy. It's very busy. So I have operational ownership over our onboardings, offboardings, HR, and change management systems and ticketing. I also do a lot with asset and inventory management. And of course, as a systems administrator, your day to day is to grant access. So we grant and remove access pretty much all day. Of course, our company provides internal IT support for our colleagues. So there's no external IT support that we provide for our customers, but we are a company of 900 plus employees. So it is very large. It has grown tremendously since I started. We started at 600, and I can proudly say I had a hand in onboarding about 200 employees. So it's very busy. It's a rapid day to day, always plate spinning. We have multiple projects that I have ownership over, as well as contribute to collaboratively with my team. So lots to do, and always very exciting and fast paced.
Okay, and as we getting ready, and I got two more questions before we go to the chat for some additional questions. Is what advice would you guys give to someone who doesn't think they're quote unquote technical enough to be, to join an apprenticeship program?
Well, I can answer that. So as my instructor usually tell me, you gotta be coachable and also open to learn. So you're not expecting to know everything, but one thing you're expected to do is to put in the effort, show that you're interested in what you're doing, and ask questions, take initiatives, and also get out your comfort zone. So I think that's where growth will come. So if you don't do that, I don't think that's the right move. But yeah.
I'll
That's important
piggyback
when we're,
on that.
taking that initiative. Go ahead.
Excuse me, I'll definitely piggyback on that and say also not being too super technical isn't always a negative. I was able to be hired based on my soft skills, my communication, my ability to collaborate with interdepartmental teams, not necessarily because I was the tech whiz that I wanted to be. So definitely think about your strong suits, all your other skills and um, the experience that you can bring from other areas of your life. Don't necessarily feel like you have to be this tech whiz when you step in on day one. You can grow the technical side of your career. What else can you bring to the table up front is what some of the companies will be looking at.
Thank you. Arthur?
And,
Oh, go ahead. Kelly, I think that was you. Go ahead.
oh yeah. To add on to what Marley and Nikki said, if you're serious about doing it, make sure you're prepared to give it your all, and make sure that you don't need a background in tech, but you do need to be consistent, and you do need to be curious about the work that you're learning. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and definitely, as Marley pointed out, be open to receiving feedback. That's very important. Um, and that's where the growth happens within you and in your journey. So
That's very good. Thank you. Arthur?
Yeah, just to continue that conversation, somebody in my cohort, I believe, said something along the lines of like the training process is essentially like it's finals week every week. It's a lot. If I think it's worthwhile to sit down and like have a conversation with yourself about whether or not you can like put that kind of time commitment in. There are people who had like families who were also in my cohort who were able to manage it, but I know that's like a lot of time and effort to dedicate to that. But especially if you can get into a good habit of studying, like I made flashcards religiously. I just needed to. If you can get into a habit of doing that when you're going through the training portion, if you know that you can dedicate your time for when you're actually deployed to the client, I think it's worthwhile. To speak towards the technical part of the conversation, I did come from a technical background, and I feel like it's kind of funny because where I struggle personally is in soft skills. I'm kind of an introvert and kind of shy on my own. Going through the apprenticeship program, and then especially them having mock interviews constantly, that was valuable for me to kind of like build up that speaking muscle, which still working on it, but
You're doing very well. This is great for you right here.
So true. Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah. And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum from Arthur because I didn't come from technical background at all. And I think, kind of like what everybody was saying before, lean into what you're good at, lean into what you're strong in, because everybody from the cohort that's getting placed, when they're placed, like the people that you're going to be working with know it's your first day. They know you're starting. Like I had a great mentor at my job at PwC when I first got there who told me, he said, Chris, if you don't ask me any questions within this first week or two, I'm going to assume that you don't care and that you don't want to be here. So you've really got to lean into, and I leaned into my soft skills, my interview with the PwC rep that I ended up getting the job through. I absolutely bombed it, the technical side of it anyway. I know I did because there was a lot of I don't knows in the answers for that interview, that for the technical questions. But lean into what you're good at. The technical skills will come, and if you truly want to learn and truly want to study and truly love what you're doing with this, the technical skills will come. I think, like what everyone's saying, being able to work with other people, being able to work with other teams, being able to help your teammates when they've got an issue, or ask them for help when you need it. Those are some real important skills to have that I think some people will overlook, thinking that the technical is all they need.
And Taya.
So I'm kind of like Chris, where I didn't come from a technical background. So making that transition was, I don't know, a little nerve-wracking, made me a little anxious, but just because I haven't really had any prior experience, I did get a certification, a cybersecurity certification before I started my apprenticeship. So technically, I did have that as a little bit of experience, but nothing really compares to when you're actually in the field and actually doing the work. So um, I would just say, pretty much like everybody else, the willingness to learn is crucial to trying to get into this field. Because it's pretty much never ending. It's always something new to learn, always something new to implement. So you're never gonna know everything as long as you're willing to be coachable, like Marley said. I feel like that's probably the best that you can do to be prepared besides getting that additional experience.
Thank you. So final question for all of you. If apprenticeship didn't exist today, where do you think you would be? Who wants to start? Very quickly.
I'd be
Apprenticeship.
unfortunately teaching still.
Okay, teaching. All right, Kelly.
Uh, Maybe still doing recruitment and onboarding, or, being a creative somewhere, since I'm a part-time creative as well. So one or the other.
Okay, Marley.
Well, for me, my plan is to go back to school, so probably I'll go get my master's.
Okay, Taya.
I would probably still be in my old job as well. Probably still be in an account manager.
Okay, Arthur.
Before my apprenticeship, I was working at Target. I dread to think about still being working at Target. No shade on Target employees.
Understand.
But um, I, I, yeah, I don't know. I would still probably, I probably would have been on the job hunt for a lot longer, and it probably would have been a lot more difficult, and it probably would have been a lot more of a process, and I probably wouldn't have landed in somewhere as cool as like the work that I'm doing right now, quite frankly.
Okay, and finally, Nikki.
Well, sad to say, I don't know if I would make it back to my previous position, since I started in public health through an apprenticeship as well. If apprenticeships didn't exist, my career might not exist at all. But I'm thankful that they do.
That's great. So again, thank you, panelists, for these wonderful sharing of your insights, your personal experience with the program. And we're gonna go to the chat because I saw some few questions. We got time, so some questions are coming through. So one of the questions for each of you guys is, what made you all decide where you wanted to pivot into? And this question is from Devon. Any of you can answer.
I will say I had a good mentor that spoke to me about trying to figure out what I was good at. Prior to entering the apprenticeship, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was working odd jobs, just, doing little things, but it wasn't fulfilling me. And I knew my kids were getting older and I wanted to go out and do something for myself. Um, my mentor encouraged me to take an aptitude test, and the aptitude test basically told me I would be good at something technical. And I said, okay, well, let me try. And that led me to a path with Perscolas, which led me to Tag Ed, which led me to my current employer. So um, I guess it was right.
Okay. And just so for some of you are before you can even be considered as an apprentice for Tag Ed, you do have to take you have to take an assessment, and you have to pass it with 80% or higher before we'll even consider you for any opportunity. So it's very interesting. So that just kind of show you how important that assessment is, so that way we can see, are you really truly want to be a part of this program. So another question from the panelists is, how's your experience with initial interviews with employer to get into the apprenticeship? Who wants to answer that?
Answer. So for my initial interview, I had to take a self-assessment as well before getting into the exchange program. And then after that, I did have to do a virtual interview with them. It wasn't It was more so like a getting to know you kind of interview, not really any hard questions or anything technical like that. Pretty much just wanted to get a feel for who I am and how I felt about tech and, what my future plans were tech-wise.
And jumping on that as well, and just to kind of tell you guys a little bit about our process here for TAG. So what we do is you fill out your assessment. We have an opportunity. We go through the applications that we have submitted to see who best match. You get the first set of interviews is with us. You get a chance to be interviewed by us. We want to learn who you are, see if you really is a good fit for that opportunity that the employer is going to apply. If by any chance you don't have tech experience, as some of them you guys have mentioned, we do put you in a training first. You do get trained. We don't just take you send you to over to the employer and say, hey, this is now you. We don't do that. We do train you to make sure that you have the certain of the tech skills that they needed, as you've heard some of you guys mention. So once you kind of do that, if there are more than five candidates that we're sending to them, so we send all of those candidates, that we top five candidates to them for them to select, and from there they select who they want to interview for this opportunity. So from there we set up those interviews. So TAG really absorb most of the administration work. You, as applying for an apprentice, you don't have to worry about that. You just got to bring your best foot forward and be ready to be interviewed and show these people, the employer, as to why they should select you. So once they select you, if you've been interviewed and they made that final decision, they let us know. And from then on, from day one, as you've heard Nikki and the rest of the crew mention, is that you start learning and you start earning too, based on the field that you are in. So you start earning and learning at the same time. And of course, in between that time, we do a monthly check-in with you and your supervisor. It's not just you only. We want to hear back from the supervisor as well to know what's going on. Of course, if there are any issues, if anything that we can help to support them as well as support you. So we do that as well. And of course, at the end, you do get your DOL certification, as you've heard me mention earlier in the PowerPoint. You get that, and then you kind of certified from the DOL, and that is a good thing. Being able to say, hey, you are a certified apprentice in cybersecurity, you are a certified apprentice in IT analysis, so that's kind of our process here at Taget. So I want to make sure that some of you understand in terms of what is the process, because I think some of the questions were answered in terms of, how do you get in. I think one question someone had asked is, how old you have to be. 18 and older. That's it. 18 and older, that you have to be. So even if you graduated high school and you don't want to go to college, but you want to at least get a tech training. So you would be eligible to be an apprentice in our program. So I just want to kind of answer that, to kind of mention that. And then, so again, thank you to all the panelists for sharing your impactful experience and insight. So, and then also to all the audience who kind of provide some questions. So as we begin to wrap up, I'm going to highlight some of the career pathways that we have available for, for if you're thinking of wanting to be part of TAGED's Registered Tech Apprentice. Our programs support careers in cybersecurity, business and data analytics, artificial intelligence. So you've heard AI is here, and of course software development, IT support, and cloud operations. And of course, the outcomes does speak for themselves. 89.1% retention rate for post apprenticeships, approximately 30% employers cost saving, because we help the employers kind of save some. If you think about it, and I think Marley, you kind of in HR, started with has some HR background. Is like, so as an employer, if you're trying to hire someone, you have to post, you have to kind of go through resumes. We do all that for you. But again, TAGED takes ownership of all of that for you. The only thing you have to do is select the apprentice, and then we turn in and then be ready to have them work and train on day one. So that is your on the job training, and which is the one that I mentioned. You at least have to complete 1,000 to 2,000 hours of completion as part of that on the job training. And of course, also 97% technical training completion rate. And again, and I just don't know how to reiterate this more, is that you get that certification of completion from the Department of Labor. Again, that is a good thing. That's something you should be proud of. So again, that's part of what our apprenticeship, registered tech apprenticeship, is about. So if you're thinking about it, you've heard some of these amazing apprentices and former apprentices talk about their journey. If you want to be part of the journey, I definitely encourage you to join and be a part of that as well. And also, if for those who are in our apprenticeship program, we don't just let them be, right. We support them. We provide resources to them, to be able to continue on their journey if they decide to do a different, I guess you could say, move on a little bit more into the tech field. We have a job resume database that is available, and that's also available to the employers as well. So if you're looking for talent, we can help you be able to be able to get that. And I'm sorry, and even that's the next slide. About our resume job database. That's one of the resources that is available to those who are in apprenticeship program. Tap in. So anytime we have employers who's like, they just need somebody to hire very quickly, we go to to that database and be able to share that with you. So I definitely encourage you. And then the other thing, which is really big, you kind of hear some of you guys said, about not having tech skills. And Taya, you kind of started with cyber, so you kind of, started it with that experience. If you don't have tech skill, we have a program that you can get that tech certification. We have partnered with the IBM Skill Build, where we provide you training. You can take a cost for free. The course is free. You don't have to pay anything. We have a cybersecurity where you can get a certification from that. You can get a certification in business analytics, in data analytics, software development, user experience, and all of this is free of charge. This is access to you. We want you to that upskilling and reskilling. If you're already in cybersecurity and you want to do something different, you want to start learning about data analytics, hey, take that course. Be part of our IBM program. Our next orientation is going to be May 28th from 6 to 7. So do pull up that pull up that QR code, register, share it with people. Again, the only requirement is that they have to be 18 and older to be able to be on the platform. It's a 6 month program. It's self-paced, meaning you move at your own pace. So therefore, take your time to learn, because really the goal is for you to learn. We don't want you to rush through anything, because we want you to retain everything you have learned. Because again, those skills are going to be helpful as you decide to move through an apprenticeship program. That makes you even better. So that way you could do that. So if you're thinking about it, we have an orientation, or at least you want to consider it to be a part. So definitely join us on May 28th from 6 to 7. So register for that as well. And again, like I said, being part of the IBM program, providing that free industry recognized training, building that in-demand skills, earn credentials, and of course taking that first step towards your apprenticeship and your career journey. So I definitely encourage you to register today. So Dr. Loretta, I see you pop up. Did I miss anything? Anything you want to give a few final last minute words to everybody who's watching along with our apprentices? Oh, you're on mute. Okay, the answer is no. But anyways, so again, I thank every one of you guys as we conclude, and you've heard, and I just want to quickly reiterate what you guys, you've heard the advice: be ready, be coachable, ready to learn, take initiative, think of your skills, offer, the work experience, be prepared to give it all to yourself, be consistent, be curious about the work you're doing or you want to learn, and of course, lean into what you're good at. So take these takeaways with you today as you consider consider an apprenticeship as your next step with career journey. Again, I thank each and every panelist on this team. Thank you to your employers for allowing you to be a part of that, your companies. And again, I encourage all of you guys, like I said, this is going to be the gift from you to me. I've given you gifts today, so from you to me is to we'll send you a survey that will be shared shortly. So therefore, you can please complete that survey, and of course, our website. The QR code takes you directly to our website, so you can explore more about our apprenticeship opportunity, and of course, continue to stay connected to Tag. So again, thank you to each and every one of you for joining our webinar today, and I want to wish all of you a happy National Apprenticeship Week for this week, and have a wonderful weekend and happy Friday.
Good luck, everyone. Thank you so much.